Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Corrigan. Thank you so much for joining me. The big news from a couple days ago was the signing of free agent Jonathan Owens, formerly of the Texans. Owens came into the league in 2018 with the Cardinals, got injured, spent the entire season on injured reserve, and then was waived in 2019 and picked up by the Texans, where he has spent a few seasons on their practice squad. And to his credit, he steadily improved and finally got his shot last season. Started 17 games, racked up 89 solo tackles, 1 sack, 4 passes defensed. What you can like about him is that he's still pretty young. He's just 27, and his play has been on an upward trajectory. While it might not help him on the field, he did recently marry Simone Biles, U.S. multiple gold medal winning gymnast. She's the greatest female gymnast, so he's got terrific taste. And it was kind of cool to see her sporting Packers gear on social media. The acquisition of Owens will play into what I'm going to discuss today, and that is what is going on with the Packers safety positions. Last season, with high expectations for the defense, Darnell Savage and Adrian Amos were the starting safeties to begin the season. But once the game started, things did not go well. Adrian Amos had his worst season as a Packer after 3 really strong seasons, and he is no longer on the roster. Darnell Savage began the season as the other starter, and he played his way out of the starting lineup. He was replaced by Rudy Ford, who showed some flashes, but was inconsistent enough to not be able to hold on to the job. Savage returned late in the season, and along with the rest of the defense, played a little bit better at the end. Darnell returns and is going into his 5th and likely final year. The Packers re-signed Rudy Ford and Dallin Levitt. They drafted Anthony Johnson Jr. and signed Tarvarius Moore and Owens in free agency. That's a lot of names, but probably not an exciting group for most Packer fans. And the fact that they just signed Owens seems to indicate that the Packers aren't sure what they have on the roster. So what is the plan for 2023? Who are going to be the Packers starting safeties? And who is going to make the final 53-man roster? I can see maybe 5 guys making it. So let's take a look at those 5 guys. Darnell Savage. At the recent owners' meetings, Coach Matt LaFleur did say that Savage will be one of the starters. Because of his contract status and size, and depending on how the offseason goes or how the season starts for some other teams, he could be possibly traded. And unless he returns to the level he played at in 2020, this is probably going to be his last season as a Packer, which may affect how long he stays in the starting lineup. Rudy Ford is waiting just behind Savage. Did get some playing time last season. He will have his chance again this year, and with a full offseason to work on his game, I expect him to get better. He did make some big plays last season with some very opportunistic interceptions, but he'll need to be more consistent. He is a key contributor on special teams. That pretty much guarantees him a spot on the roster. But if he is in the starting lineup, he'll likely play less on special teams. Anthony Johnson Jr. He is an interesting option to replace Adrian Amos. He is a 7th-round pick from this last year's draft, and I'm not sure why he was still on the board at that point. Johnson was a 5-year starter at Iowa State. He was a team captain, 4-time All-Big 12, played 4 years at corner, and then moved to safety in 2022. He is still learning the safety position, just 1 year starting at safety, but he has shown that he can cover, he can play the run, and he has good range. Most places I looked at had him ranked and rated a lot higher than the seventh round, and I really expected to go him around the fourth round. He's a versatile, high character guy, so kind of want to see what he can do. Jonathan Owens. Packers want to stick with someone who has experience. This is the guy. It could be why they brought him in. He's got 17 starts, second only to Darnell Savage. Tarvarius Moore, who was signed from the 49ers, he does have some starting experience. He was a third round pick, but he has never risen to the level of a preferred starter. He's only been an injury replacement. But he is a special teams guy, which could secure him his spot on the roster. Dallin Levitt showed last season he's a special teams guy. He's good on special teams. Unless he makes a big improvement and shows it in training camp and the preseason, is probably going to stay a special teams guy and an emergency injury replacement. So we'll see. I think everyone else is competing for practice squad spots. It is only mid-May. They haven't put on pads yet. Nothing's been decided, so nothing is guaranteed. Thank you for tuning into the Packer Mentality Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to join me next time. Until then, have a great rest of your week, and as always, go Pack Go.